Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Dose of Pharma. I am your host, Jenny, and we are joined by the lovely Yixing Chan today, who is a quality control chemist working at Intraceuticals. I'm very, very excited for her to tell us a bit more about her studies and her career journey as well. So without further ado, I'll just pass our time to Yixing to just briefly introduce herself to us.
Hi, my name is Yixing, and I'm currently a quality control chemist at Intraceuticals. Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you so much for the introduction. So we'll just start off by your experience in Singapore. So we know that you started off working for a ticketing service and company in Singapore. So what kind of drove you to want to work there, and what made you want to make the jump to study Pharm Sci at Monash University?
After I graduated from high school, I decided to take up like part-time job to work, and then ultimately decided on like taking a gap year. So this was one of the jobs that I did part-time. And then after that, I decided to do like a Bachelor of Pharmaceutical Science with Monash because I thought it would be really interesting learning more about like the drug discovery, like the background and everything. And also how I liked how there would be opportunities in industries that I did not expect, such as like cosmetics and formulation. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. So what was working in Singapore like? Can you tell us a little bit about kind of the challenges you faced or the journey along the way as well?
So working in Singapore, I feel like maybe it was easier for me because I wasn't like a full-timer. It's very nice to work with colleagues because I think the working culture here is quite different from Australia.
Hmm.
So usually in Singapore, like we don't really bring lunch to work like
Okay.
in Australia. So we tend to just like go out as a group with like
Mm,
my like our team, and then we just eat at like the food court together.
okay.
So I think yeah, quite fun. Lots of like interaction time with colleagues.
Okay, that's great. Yes, I think the culture is quite different in a
Yeah.
different country compared to working in Australia. So you talked a little bit about the various aspects of pharmaceutical science that kind of drew you to study that at Monash. Was there anything else that you took into consideration before deciding on Pharm Sci specifically, and what kind of, I guess, branch did you want to go down when you first started?
When I was looking at what to study, I saw like the whole part about formulation and possibly like being able to work in the cosmetics industry. I was just getting started in skincare, so I was looking at a lot of like the different like active ingredients, and I thought it would be really cool to be able to work in like formulation one day. So I think this was one of like the special reasons why I chose Pharm Sci.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very good reason as well.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about your studying journey at Monash? So how was the degree for you? Did you find it challenging in the beginning, or did you feel like it was the right thing for you to do just from the start?
I really enjoyed the degree because there were just so many things to learn that were just so interesting, and I really enjoyed like the formulation subject by Laurent. I got to actually like try making like a product from scratch with a team, and I think this was like one of the highlights of my course.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's amazing. Definitely get a lot of hands-on experience at Monash,
yeah,
especially doing farm side, a lot of lab work as well.
yeah,
Yeah. So we can also see that kind of after finishing your degree, you did an internship at the Monash Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, or
yeah,
MIPS,
yeah.
and you participated in a bit of like drug discovery. So just kind of run us through what your typical day looked like while doing that internship.
So my internship was like I first started with like reading publications and
Mm.
academic journals just to gain like background understanding of my research project. And then after that, it was like progressing to conducting experiments in the lab and then discussing results with my supervisor. But also during this whole like placement period, I joined in on all those different lab meetings every week where everyone presents like a little bit about something new that they have learned from maybe like a research paper or something about their experiments that maybe it's very exciting for them, or maybe something that didn't go well. And then everybody gets together to discuss about how like something can be improved on, or like feedback and suggestions, or like how it can be applied elsewhere. So it was very nice to see like so much collaboration. Yeah.
Yeah, very important to learn from others as well and to
Yeah.
improve on yourself and to share those ideas. Um, could you tell us a little bit about what you did during your time there or what project you were kind of involved in?
Yeah, so my project was about determining like the optimum number of antibodies per porous silicon nanoparticle for like maximum dendritic cell uptake.
Yes, so I did hear you mention porous silicone nanoparticles. Do you mind just kind of running us through what that is?
Basically, it's like a silicon particle in the nanometer like size range, but then it's
Mm.
been etched with pores. So this was used in my project as a carrier for like the antibodies
Oh, that's
to
very
like
interesting.
deliver them into the yeah.
Oh, deliver them into the body.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes, that's very, very interesting. Sounds like a lot of detailed work examining that as well. So during that process, what do you think were some kind of key skills and experiences you gained or had to utilize?
Definitely it was like pipetting skills. And then one of the like main techniques that I did was also like UV-vis as well. And
Mm,
then click chemistry as well. Yeah.
okay. Yes. So in terms of click chemistry and the UV-vis, is that the spectrophotometry?
Yeah, that's right, that's
Yes.
right.
What do they involve, if you don't mind running through them a little bit?
Yeah, so we use click chemistry, which is basically like a very like quick and simple reaction to
Mm.
attach like antigens onto the antibody, and then which is really like attached which we attach onto the porous silicon nanoparticle,
Mm.
and then basically we just use it because it's quick, it's fast, there's like not a lot of waste products, and then it also doesn't harm the cells, and not harm the cells, but it's like cytotoxic, so
Oh, okay.
doesn't damage or like kill cells.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And what about the UV-vis?
So like it's an analytical technique, and then we use it to measure like the amount of a particular wavelength
Mm.
of light that's absorbed in the UV like vis like visible light region to
Okay.
determine like the concentration of a substance. So in this case would be like the number of antibodies on the
Mm.
porous silicon nanoparticle.
That's very, very interesting. So did you
Yeah.
spend more time kind of working in the lab with those techniques, or did you find most of the time it was more like the reporting aspect?
I would say like 50-50.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yes,
because like
yeah.
there's also like downtime, and
Mm.
then having to like take time to like analyze my results and discuss like what does this mean, and
Mm.
checking out like the different calculations and like planning before I actually start doing it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely sounds like a very extensive experience. Yeah, something that you must have enjoyed as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk a little bit about your current role, which is a quality control chemist. Could you just tell us a little bit about what you do every day and what kind of tasks you'd be involved in?
I would say that doing QC is definitely more routine than research. So definitely every single day when I come in, that would be um, daily calibration of the equipment that I'm using, like example pH and the viscometer, and then the routine QC testing of all the like products that we make for the day. And every once in a while, maybe like investigating deviation or something that might have like gone wrong.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of fixing and exploring the issues that might come with a lot of the equipment, is that right?
Um, More like maybe if something is like some example, like the product that we make, maybe
Mm.
something's out of specification, maybe like
Mm.
pH, and then that would be like adjusting pH. And
Okay.
then yeah, also finalizing like paperwork for batch release as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What kind of products are you mostly involved in kind of the development process of?
Um, so not really development, but more like just QC testing of
Oh,
like
yes.
moisturizer, like facial
Ah,
cleansers, serum as
okay.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of the skincare area.
Yeah,
Yes.
skincare.
Yeah, that sounds great. So we also know that you've worked kind of as a quality control technician and you've moved on to being a quality control chemist.
Yeah.
What do you think was kind of the biggest differences between the two roles?
Um, I would say like there are actually a lot of similarities. Just that the QC chemist is a bit more senior than a QC technician. So sometimes the QC chemist would be like supervising the QC technician. And I actually started out as a QC technician, so that was just title for my probationary like period. And then after that, when I finished it, I was immediately converted to QC chemist.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Gaining
But
kind of that experience.
yeah, I would say like it also probably depends from like workplace to workplace.
Mm.
And maybe in some workplaces, like QC chemist would be the one that will be handling all the most of the paperwork as well. But in my current role, I think it's pretty like equal. Just that maybe like QC technicians more like on the casual role instead of full time.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. But it's also good to build up experience as a technician before moving on to a chemist as well.
Yeah, they also handle a lot of like the miscellaneous like lab affairs, like sometimes like restocking of like lab supplies and helping out like maybe like R&D if they need some things to be done as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing to know. Thank you so much. So, as a kind of a technician or as a chemist or the role you're in at the moment, what do you normally check for when evaluating shelf life extension of materials? And how does this tie in with kind of your quality control checks?
So for shelf life extension, for like example, raw materials, it always depends on what the raw material supplier provides in their certificate of analysis. So for example, if it's like just pH and viscosity, then usually I would just be doing these two tests. But then, for example, like if it was a liquid instead of a powder, then I would also be sending it for like microbial testing, just because like powders are dry and then there's not enough like water for usually like some will have some like microbial risk, but most of them don't really have that microbial risk because there's no water. And then if there's chemical testing that's required as well, sometimes I also have to like look up the chemical structure online and determine based on the chemical structure which tests are necessary and which are not. And then also consider like the cost of the test. Because for example, like the cost of like the total number of like tests, it adds up to be way more expensive than the value of the raw material that we actually have. And then at this point, like I would suggest saying that maybe we can buy more raw material instead of retesting this because it's just more worth it.
Yeah.
And if we can get it quickly, that would be even better because we don't have to wait that long either. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for explaining that. Seems like a lot of kind of procedural things and a lot of thought that needs to go into checking everything.
Yeah.
Yes. So I've here got kind of some terminologies that would be great if you could explain to us in sort of layman's terms.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll start off with OOS test results. So what does that mean?
So OOS test result just stands for out of specification. So every like product or raw material in a certificate of analysis that you issue or receive, they will always have a like specification range. So it would say, for example, like pH 5.5 to 6.5, and then you have to ensure that your measurement falls within this range. And if it is out of the range, then you consider it out of spec. And then that's when like you have to do like a rework to fix it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, for sure. And I know you're kind of involved in some wet chemistry techniques as well. Could you run
Yeah.
through what that is?
In my current role, it's mostly pH and viscosity, but then in like my previous roles, for example, when I was like QC technician as my student placement at Sensient, then there was also like titration as well. Yeah.
Okay, yes. So those kind of chemistry techniques that you'd have to employ in terms of, yeah, checking different products as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also have here GMP, which I think means good manufacturing practice as
Yeah.
well. Yes. Could you go through what these may involve and what that looks like in practice as well?
Yeah, so GMP is like a way to help us ensure that the products that we release are of high quality. So it it covers like everything from like cleanliness of your production facility to training of your staff and making sure like they're wearing like proper protection like equipment, such as like when you're handling or coming into contact with like the bulk or even just entering the area, definitely like a hairnet, lab coat, hand gloves, sometimes even like you have your arm guard, so like a plastic sleeve. and also cleanliness of the area. It also involves like how you handle your documentation practices as well. So like everything from your manufacturing batch sheets, where you write down like, oh, for this raw material, this we use this specific lot, this specific amount, and you check off that so and so did it, and you sign off that you added it, as well as like your batch release records, your especially also like when you have a deviation, and then how do you investigate it? Yeah, and it also can cover like everything all the way down to like evaluating your suppliers before you purchase raw material from them from the first time as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yes, I do know that in all science fields, we're kind of ruled by these protocols that ensures that,
Yeah.
our practice is of the highest standard. So it's good that, to be aware of these things and to always keep it in mind because kind of that underpins everything that we do pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as kind of a QC chemist, what does your 9 to 5 look like now compared to your previous roles? And do you think that it's more flexible or do you think the roles are a bit different than the ones you had in the past?
I would say that it is compared to research, definitely research is way more flexible and then things change up around here all the time. Whereas QC is always more routine and definitely a lot more lab work. Um, Not so sure about research because research was just limited, but then I do like
Yes.
QC a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yep. That sounds interesting. Must be two different,
yeah,
quite different fields as well.
yeah. And then also like previous experience as placement, I have heard that manufacturing would sometimes require for like QC to come in earlier in the day, but
Mm,
then like manufacturing may start even earlier. So like by the time QC comes in, product is done, and then you can start testing immediately. Whereas
okay.
research is more flexible as well in like start times. Like you can come in whatever time you want and stay
Mm.
for and leave. Like if you come early, you can always leave early. Whereas QC is a bit more like fixed timing. Yeah.
Yes, that makes sense. You're kind of working with a whole bigger group of people who are
Yeah,
more dependent on
definitely.
that, timeline
Yeah.
as well. Very good to know. Thank you for sharing, Yixing. So now we'll kind of move on to the advice you have for students currently studying Pharm Sci, whether it be at Monash or not. Firstly, what sort of opportunities do you recommend that they take that they can help start building their career with?
I would say take any opportunity because it helps you gain exposure in industry and then also helps you like explore your preferences. So for example, like you can try out like a part-time job or like just a school placement and it can help you decide whether research is for you, whether QC is for you, and get knowledge about like the different like departments that you work with. So sometimes you just need a foot in, and this experience can help you move on into a different job. Just because, like for example, if like somebody's interested in cosmetics R&D, I would say like cosmetics QC would be a good place to start because you're working with your product a lot, and then every time you have to do a rework, you're like if you definitely need knowledge of like your product and your raw materials,
Mm.
and then your manufacturing processes as well. Like how do you add the raw material into the product, and also like learn about scale up because something might work in your like beaker, but it wouldn't work in like large full scale production.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, helpful to learn more about QA as well if that's like quality assurance, if that's what
Mm.
somebody would be interested in. Yeah.
Yes, I think as students, sometimes we forget that just because we have like a favorite field or something we want to go into, that there's a variety of roles that are involved as well, and that
Yeah.
any opportunity is a good one for us to just explore and see if it's the right path for us as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as a QC chemist, what do you think are some key attributes or attitudes that would, make you a good person for this role or suited to this job?
I would say definitely being willing to learn
Mm.
because one of the things that I realized after working full time is that actually a lot of things are learn on learn on the go, like learn as you go, because every like company may do things differently. For example, like they may use different equipment for the same technique, and then you have to be willing to learn, as well as like a lot of QC. I would say that even though like Bachelor of Pharm Sci did help me get like a GMP like certificate in uni, but then entering the workplace, I would say that just having a GMP set would just be skimming the surface. You learn so much more about proper QC processes and QA like procedures as well.
Yeah.
So definitely have to be willing to learn, and
Yes.
then attention to detail, because you're always checking like your manufacturing batch sheets, and then making sure that documentation is in order before you release the product to be shipped out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one's important as well. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. I think these are skills we can start to build up in university, but also realize that uni isn't going to prepare us for everything that the workforce is going to throw at us, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yes, for
And then I
sure.
think last one would be teamwork, because you're working with like a lot of people in various like departments, for example, R&D and manufacturing, and also like production, where they're filling the product into the packaging as well.
Yeah.
And then that would be requiring you to sometimes tell them like, oh, maybe this is not the right way to do it,
Yeah.
or maybe telling them like, oh, maybe like we had this problem, here's like a new way to do something, or getting feedback from them even on when you're trying to like improve processes and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for sharing. Good things to keep in mind to start developing now as students as well, and to keep growing wherever our future career takes us. So with our last question, we just wanted to ask you, what kind of things are you looking forward to the most in the future of this field, or anything exciting up and coming?
um I look forward to maybe more in like terms of like personal development,
Mm,
learning more about QC. Like I'm still learning every day,
mm.
and hopefully maybe one day I can try out like QA as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very exciting. Definitely a lot of space for growth as well.
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you so much for sharing all your insight and knowledge. Also very excited for where your career path will take you in the future and all your future endeavors as well, Yixing. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners now have a lot of a better understanding of what a QC chemist is and what they do and the pathways that they might choose to take so they can implement this career into their future as well. So thank you so much for sharing.
No, thank you for having me.
No worries
Thank
at all.
you.
Wish you all the best.
Dose of Pharma acknowledges the traditional custodians of the various lands throughout Australia on which we connect today, and pays respect to elders past, present, and future.